stress level has recently increased. Excellent. Incoming message.
Good evening and welcome to Behind the Scanner. Your hosts for tonight are Andrew Krug from Virginia, Daphne D. from Washington, D.C., and Jorge Pedrero from Mexico City. Tonight's guests are Najfa Razee and Daniel Rogers. Welcome to the show. The Q&A tool is enabled for tonight's broadcast. Submit your questions throughout the show and we'll ask as many as time allows. If you know someone who would make a great guest, submit their information to us at bit.ly/BTS_guest. Finally, you can watch past episodes and subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/behindthescanner. And now, your hosts of Behind the Scanner.
Good evening, agents. Welcome to episode 36 of Behind the Scanner. Let's get the show started. Tonight, our first guest is Najfa Razee. Well, I have problems with her name.
Close enough.
Sure. Well, she's from Maldives, and that is almost as remote, as far away as you can get. Welcome, Najfa. Agent Troll One, and I don't know. She has to explain us her code name. Welcome.
Hello, yes. Yeah, it's pronounced Australian. I don't know why I put a one in there. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you here. Yeah, great to finally meet you. And I was so excited to meet you last time, but alas, I know duty called with your work, which we'll talk about later. And I know sleep called louder. So my big question happens to be about the Maldives Islands, where you're from. I have to admit, when I was much younger, I dreamed about honeymooning in the Maldives. So I know a little bit about them, at least the cute little islands that you can have all to yourself. But for those viewers who aren't so familiar, do you mind sharing a little bit about your country and even the city of Malé?
I think if I was to describe Malé, it's like a pancake in the sea with lots of topping on it and all of us running around on it.
A pancake on the sea. So cool.
And we've got about maybe 1,000 islands, 1,200 islands. Only 200 of them have people on it. 80 of them are tourist resorts.
Wow. A pancake in the sea, that sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Sounds yummy, but so many islands. It's amazing. It's a place that at least I can't imagine. Is another world for me. And well, Maldives has actually been talked about quite a bit in recent years because of climate change, rising waters, and the low elevation of many of the islands. Can you share us a bit about your experience?
Well, I think when you think about climate change, Maldives, we are very flat islands, so we also don't produce much. So in all ways, our security is threatened because whether we are to get fresh water or whether we are to get food, all of this can be impacted if the sea levels rise. And we import practically everything. So if there's for any reason, anything gets cut off, then we are in trouble.
I remember that you couldn't be with us like a month ago, that you were programmed to be in the show because of something like that. You have some problems and you have to get some fresh water from several places. What happened that day?
We had a failure an accident at the water plant, and so we were cut off with water supply from all of the, for the whole island. So we had no fresh water, and we had no running water. We had to stand in queues to collect water, which was being distributed on an emergency basis. So it was a good wake-up call that we shouldn't, rely on just one source for our water.
You actually bring up a really interesting point, a little bit about your food source, because you are kind of a remote island where you are, and the other many islands are also pretty remote. How much of your country has arable land, or do you import a lot, or where does it come from?
Everything is important. We have very little land to spare. We need to live on it as well. Yeah. Some of the islands are industrialized to produce certain crops, but it's definitely not enough to feed ourselves. We need even all our staples are imported from other countries.
So, from doing our research on you, it seems like you know quite a bit about environmental impacts. I don't know if that's because of what you do for a living or just because you live where you live. Is it related to your work?
Yeah, it is. I'm also working at the Environment Ministry, so I do have oversee a couple of projects to supply water in 3 islands, and as well as a project on coastal development. So, yeah, my work does have an influence on my knowledge.
So something that was in the news recently, I don't know if you've seen it, was I think it was Bill Gates helped fund a machine that would essentially create fresh, drinkable, potable water from human waste of all things, and it's pretty effective. And the waste provides fuel. Is that something that obviously could help you guys? But have you been approached about, or how can you help try to solve this need for fresh water?
We have the sea. We are at the moment using reverse osmosis to produce fresh water from seawater, and that's the source of our drinking water at the moment. Even the bottled water is produced from seawater. But it's an interest to get.
I think we lost her or something.
No.
Well, she does live halfway across the world on a very tiny pancake with a lot of toppings, apparently.
No, Najfa, I think you're back.
Oh. She's there. We can see her moving. There we go.
I'm here.
No, I think you shared a lot of really interesting information. Maybe just to simplify before the signal goes out again a little bit, because there's so much strange debate here, at least in our country, in the United States, that, all right, horse's mouth, because of your specific impacts, environmental, global warming, or whatever you want to call it, climate change, real or not real, and from your experience?
From us, I think, yes, in my lifetime as well, I have seen the place is getting hotter. I mean, it could be because we are turning into a big concrete jungle as well. I mean, it feels hotter each year. We have more reports of increased tidal waves, increased erosion, windier conditions. So it does seem, I don't know whether it is really, as a result of human impact or not. That debate is a continuous debate. So, yeah. I mean, from what I can see, yes. And we are all living closer and closer to the sea. So, as we expand into the, reefs to reclaim and live on it.
Well, I will tell you, I hope to make it over there before anything else happens.
Well, there's another fact. It is true that Maldives is not the only country that you call home.
Yeah, that's correct. I call Sri Lanka home as well. My mom is from Sri Lanka. My dad is from Maldives.
Have you been there?
Yeah, growing up as well, we visit there almost every school break, and now I travel maybe about 3 or 4 times a year.
Great.
Okay, so how did you come from Sri Lanka to the Maldives, and how is that connection? I'm really fascinated.
My parents are from each of the countries. My dad is from Maldives. My mom came from Sri Lanka to work in the Maldives, and that's how they met. So yeah, I have half my family there and half my family here.
Very cool. I bet that's a fascinating story about your parents too. But
yeah, let's another time.
I was going to say that could be part of the BTS After Dark show. Now, I mean, I'm also fascinated that you not just come from one island country, but 2, and would love to know, I mean, what's the game like in Sri Lanka, or I'd say both Sri Lanka and the Maldives, and I'm assuming that you've been able to play at both.
Yeah, in Mali, it's practically like you're tripping over each of the portals because they are just so close together. Mali is so tiny, it's just a square mile, and we have more than 230 portals on it. So we are basically surrounded by portals, and when you get to Sri Lanka, it's just a completely different experience. You might have to, like, my nearest portal at home is about 200 meters, and within that radius, I probably have 50 portals here in Mali. So yeah, so it's very, very different, and you need transport, whereas here you can walk and just play as you walk, running errands, you can play. So yeah, it's very, very different.
Well, speaking of being different, I mean, just the size of and the makeup of your country alone, the U.S. is about 3.8 million square miles or 9.8 million kilometers squared. Whereas I think you guys, according to Wikipedia, are only like 298 kilometers squared, which is 115 square miles. And you're a bunch of islands. So my question for you is, you must have some pretty interesting ops. I imagine you have to go by boat or plane or swim. I don't know. What kind of ops have you gone on that have been maybe fascinating to people watching?
That's a really good question. I mean, for us to get from one island to the other is really expensive. And like you said, we have to either fly there or take a boat, and swimming is not an option. It's not that nearby. So yeah, when we've done an interesting op, like we've covered the entire chain of islands in a few layers of control fields. It has been on combining travel for other purposes with Ingress, actually, so that we don't really bear the full cost of the running the op itself. And it's getting more and more interesting now with more portals popping up in really remote areas, portals that stand for 250 days plus, and links between them which we can't get to you know, sometimes we have not been able to participate in any of the regional events because of the blocks that are in place by us, by our faction itself.
So what you're saying is, if people want to help the economy and perhaps get a Guardian portal as well, they should go to all these. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
And if only I could charge that far. All right. So, I mean, being where you are in the Indian Ocean, you must also have some interesting connections globally with these, you know, especially your ever-increasing remote portals. Have you guys been able to participate in some of these crazy global ops? And anything we should know that would be secrets that we can share here?
No secrets.
Anything
No
that we
secrets.
should know, especially, that'd be great.
Jorge knows we shouldn't share, right? Well, we have been able to, and that's the only way for our community to take part in any of the global events is if we are lucky enough for one of our neighbors to have be a connected cell, and they invite us to join them to maybe, you know, help them out, or, you know, do some fields together. Then, yeah, that's how we've been lucky enough actually to participate in the past 3 or 4 anomalies because of our neighbors. So I guess a big thank you to our neighboring countries.
And well, how's the local community? How you are organized? How to play? How you are connected with all the communities on the islands? Are there like island communities, or it's a global community?
We have the capital island is where most of the players are located. And if you were on one of the more, should I say, smaller islands with less population, then you really can't play Ingress because you have a few portals there, and maybe you're not even able to level up to link them. We've tried to recruit people in other islands, but then that becomes a problem leveling them up. So most of the activities on the capital island, and it's always happening here. I guess a portal won't stand for very long, not maybe 24 hours, and it will be gone. We have to harvest really, really quickly, because as soon as a farm is up, you know, we can be sure someone might come and destroy it or come and farm with us. So even cross-faction, we are quite integrated in that manner, and like they come and you know, like join us in farming. We blow up if we find out they are farming.
It reminds me of one city, very dense city, probably similarly dense as yours, that, yes, it's very competitive like that.
Yeah.
Although, well, that's a huge city, but, you know, your own island and community where I imagine it's got to be where everyone has to know everyone.
We do, yeah. And as soon as a new player, you know, it comes up, everybody's like, okay, there's a new player, and where they are, and which portal they're next to, and we try to spot them and see it, meet them, and find out. Most of the times, turns out it's someone we already know. So yeah, it's
how fun. All right, so just kind of asking, you know, with female players, are there different standards because you're female?
not within the community. I think the community really, you know, accepts and is really open. But I do find playing, if I am out by myself, a little bit uncomfortable, because if I am out, someone might ask me what I'm doing, and not everyone would be as, who asks me would be as, what do you say, accepting of the fact that I'm out playing a game instead of doing something maybe more constructive. So I usually have to like make some excuse, or I just have like something, um, an underlying reason for why I am lurking around in a dark corner in the park, like shopping or this shop or that or something.
Right.
You should just use the excuse everybody else does, is say we're going out for milk. I'm actually
Yeah.
surprised that the dairy industry hasn't like started charging more for the amount of milk that Ingress players are buying.
They deliver milk to your car as you're returning
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Have you always played games? Is this the first? I mean, video game kind of. I guess it's not really a video game, but it kind of is. Have you always been a gamer?
I have played games, but Ingress is a totally different game. I mean, it makes you actually meet people and play with people, which is completely different from playing any other online game. And you have to work as a team and a community and plan together. I think there's a lot of other facets to Ingress which you know most other games don't. So I have played, I guess, since I was young, been playing games, but this is a entirely different sort of game. And yeah, really enjoyed playing Ingress because of it.
All right, so to the audience, if you have any questions that you would like to ask Najfa or our upcoming guests, please feel free to use the Q&A tool, and yeah, we'll ask your questions very shortly. All right, Najfa, I'm curious about missions on your island. I mean, just being so dense and compact, what are they like over there?
We have a few missions, and most of them to hack portals, which is easy enough. But when it comes to any mission which requires like a capture or an upgrade, then it becomes harder, because it's especially if you're a resistance player and the portals are already late and no more mod slots available, then I've created a couple of missions. One of those missions is requires upgrades and links and fields, and the average time of completion is quite long for that mission, because there's no option for people to like go and upgrade the portal.
Oh, right. All right. And well, how about the ones that you've created? What sort of missions have you done?
I've done one mission is as well, not, I can't really say thank you, but sort of to recognize one of our players. So I've named it Wule Pips, because that's what he calls the location where, one of the locations where we farm at. He calls it Pips, even though it's the location where there are pipes. So that mission is just for him. And the other mission is really a tour of all the mosques in Mali, and I've included some of the clues of the historical relevance of those mosques, so local colloquial names of those mosques. So I think that mission many of the players from both factions find quite interesting to do, because they learn things which normally you probably just ignore or take for granted, because we have so many mosques.
Right. That's true. Like, you actually bring up a really interesting point about it being a very Islamic country. And well, I think given your experience being a female player, yes, maybe sometimes having. But I guess, well, how is the diversity in the Maldives?
There's a range of people. I mean, you get both extremes and people in the middle as well. So yeah, in some cases, the game, I guess, I mean, there, well, I don't know, I mean, like, I can't think of why that we have so few female players. It's not really because of any conservativeness of the society itself. I think it's most people prefer to play games where you sit at home and play on the couch, and Ingress actually requires you to go out and really work for leveling up and stuff. So yeah, I don't think society comes to play in terms of this game so much.
Gotcha.
It is.
I understand.
It
All
is.
right. Go ahead.
Sorry. It is secure to play in the streets at all time in the day, during the night. When you play English.
I do play at all times, and maybe not very late into the night, because then there are less people around. If I'm with a group, then it's not a problem. And otherwise, I think it's very safe in Malé when you compare it to any other country. Yeah, going out by myself, maybe not too late. And if I have a ride, then I can ride around quickly and get to safety if anything bad is about to happen.
I gotta tell you, that's universal. So, yeah, but right on. I admire some of your work despite you being with a different faction. All right, so you ready for some audience questions?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So one is, how long did it take you to get to L8 with the limited amount of portals that you mentioned, at least from before?
When I leveled up, I think there was about 109 portals on Malé, and it was always blue. I had to constantly watch the intel map, find a tiny little spot where there was no field, and run and make a field there. So still, even with that difficulty, with it being blue all the time, I took only a month to reach L8.
Okay. Another question is, do you get much tourist activity? Do they ever disrupt your normal play?
We do have some tourists who come, and we've even met some people who have come from different countries who play Ingress, and through Ingress, we've actually met them and hung out with them. And I wouldn't say they disrupt, because it's nice to have some fresh players, and it's many times also I don't think people actually get a data package, so they don't play in the city. It's usually the airport or something that would go.
That would be a really interesting question, I think, for someone visiting, hopefully someday soon, hint, hint to myself, about how to get proper data over there, because yes, that is a pain when making international trips, and so yeah, you never know, someone might be hitting you up.
Yep.
All right, another question, what level are you now?
Right now I'm level 15.
15.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I gotta say, it's better than a certain co-host who lives in Washington, D.C., not only as densely, but like vastly more densely packed, and travels. Not naming names, Andrew.
I don't have a battery pack. That's my excuse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
All right. And Kelly Colton, one of our teammates here for Behind the Scanner, and you've heard her voice, lovely voice at the beginning of every episode. She'd like to know, tea or coffee? Good question.
Both, actually.
Do you have a particular tea that you like?
Yeah, I think Earl Grey would be my favorite flavor. Yeah.
So caffeine, yes, I'm with
Yeah.
that.
From both, yeah.
As long as it has caffeine, you're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and one last question. how did you first hear about the game?
I read an article, I think it was in Wired magazine, about a game, and I thought it was interesting. I looked it up on Google and just signed up. So in the community, it was quite fun actually, because they started seeing a player and they were trying to find out who it was. And till I reached level 6, they were still trying to track me down. I was trying to meet them by chatting with them on comms, but every time I would go to some place, they would have already left. So yeah, until I reached 6, they didn't know who I was and were very curious. They called me the Australian because my name is Estrulian.
Oh, that's I love it. And Kelly would like for you to know that she is drinking Earl Grey right now. So you guys can be cross-faction tea buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, that gives me a great idea though. I'm gonna change my name to Tourist and just go around blowing everything up, and people, they won't know who to look for. All right. It is that time of the show where we must say goodbye. But before we say goodbye, you have 60 seconds to say anything you'd like. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, or something you want to get off your chest? The floor is yours. So go ahead.
Well, I think our community could do with, and probably there must be other small islands like us out there who have communities, could do with a bit more events that we can participate in. We are very much in debt of neighboring countries like Sri Lanka or India for us to get an opportunity to participate in global events. So when I understand that the scales of economy are not there, but maybe Ingress can come up with something that targets small populations and small communities. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Well,
Excellent.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us. And gosh, it's really great to get to know you, get to know about the culture of your country and Ingress play and everything. So it's wonderful to have you on tonight, or I should say this morning. Good gosh, what time is it over there right now?
It's 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
On our weekend.
All right. Well, we are glad to have you. Thank you so much for being on with us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's definitely a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very, very much.
Yeah. All right. So, before we get to our second guest, it is time for the weekly truth. This is a time when we have, this week we have, again, Jose Antonio Rey joining us from Lima, Peru, to catch us up on what's going on in the Ingress storyline. So, please welcome Operation Essex investigator Jose Antonio R. to the show. Bienvenidos otra vez.
So welcome,
Hey,
everyone.
welcome back.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure to be here with you to share what's been going on the Niantic storyline. So let me share my screen real quick, and I'm gonna get to the leaked documents that we have for this week. First up, we have this intel report. It is a conversation between Henry Bowles and Ada. In this conversation, we can see that Henry and Ada are teasing about Agent 855 not being dead. So this is a clue that leads us to think what has actually happened to 855. Why is he not dead, or why did they want to fake his death? We heard about PH Paul creating a super team, a team of people who were going to fight for the truth, and we start to believe that 855 is one of these agents that is going to be in PH Paul's team. So this is going to lead to more interesting things in the next few weeks. I'm completely sure about that. So stay tuned to any leaks that may contain Henry Bowles. Now we have this message from Clue. Clue is congratulating agents from Chicago for helping her drawing the begin and deliberate glyphs. As you can see over here, you have both resistance and enlightened glyphs, and Clue is telling us that this has been a long journey and that now she's seen the destination, so she's excited. But we are still trying to figure out what is Clue's final destination. If we are seeing the real Clue, the Clue that we knew before, or are we seeing a new Clue, a Clue that has been infused by Ada? The next mission, she teases, is going to be the last. So as for the clues that she has been leaving, we can understand that the next mission is going to pop up in Kyoto. So agents in Kyoto, stay tuned. Now we have this leaked document, which is a conversation between Dr. Oliver Linton-Wolfe and Claudia Glass. As we know, Claudia Glass has participated in Operation Restriction #1. And Dr. Oliver Linton-Wolfe has invited her to participate in this welcoming committee. We are starting to believe that Linton-Wolfe and Glass are working together to welcome the Nasir to our world. Because over here, you can see Linton-Wolfe asking about the 13 Magnus Nest. So the Nasir are coming. We don't know what's going on with Hank, but we're going to get to that shortly. Now, this is a post from Yuri Nagasa, which is the Shonin logo. This is actually a dream that Yuri had, and this is the image that he could see in his dream. He drew it and posted it on Google+. He mentions that he is the center of everything in his dream. So we know that the anomaly series is called Shonin, and Shonin is means witness in Japanese. So what if Yuri is the witness? Or what if we all are the witness? But witness of what? Witness of the Nasir? Or of a new era? Or what's going to come up with Shonin? We're just going to have to wait until the end of the anomaly series to see what's going on. After that, we see a post from Hank Johnson. This is another weird post, and he starts saying, "Don't bother looking for clues." So we can try and understand that he is actually leaving some clues. He mentions that Jahan has been trying to help him, even though he doesn't totally like his purpose. He is probably in love with her, and he mentions that Jahan was not fooled by the message that Hank Johnson left last week. So he definitely left a message over here, but we still need to try and decode what it is. We cannot actually tell you guys what's going on here because we may put Hank at risk again, so we're trying to avoid that. And finally, we have a post from Susanna Moyer telling us that the Ingress report is not going to come this week, so stay tuned for next week because we are going to have an Ingress report next week. They are just skipping this week, and we're going to be back with more and more exciting news next week, for sure.
Susanna finally ran out of black t-shirts, tank tops.
Laundry day!
It's laundry day. That's what it is. Just trying to get that trending. Laundry day. Yeah. Awesome. Sorry. Of all the good information, there's lots of good stuff there. Thank you, Jose.
Yeah, I have to ask, how do you compile all of this info?
Sorry, Daphne, what was that?
How do you compile all that info together? I mean, you have to look at this person's post and then that person's post and whatnot. I mean, I know that you've got this group, Operation Essex, but I'm kind of looking at this through a noob's eyes because I happen to have a new friend that is playing now, and yeah, he's like, what the heck is this? So you've been really great at getting this all together, but yeah, how do you guys all do it?
So my first recommendation would be to go to 2 pages. First, look for the Niantic project page on Google+, which will compile most of the posts. The Niantic project page is run by VeritySeek, and Verity posts one document or one leak a day. So each day you will find a new document or some new information from any of the characters that we'll be posting around. So Verity is doing a great job compiling everything. You need to take a look at that. And if you want to get more into the investigation side and try to understand what are the things that are going on in our world that affect the Ingress world, make sure to check the Operation Essex community at operationessex.org. There's always investigators posting around and like trying to figure out what's going on in the storyline.
Very cool. Thank you.
That's good stuff, man.
Always such a pleasure having you on.
It really, it's like the Cliff Notes version of Ingress, which is fantastic.
The comprehensible and well, for me, and I'm sorry, I may speak for a very small minority of the players, but it's tolerable. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got ADD, something that we'll actually find out is in common with our next guest, and I can't sit there and I can't follow and try to find and hunt and all that. So thank you, Jose.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right.
Always great.
Let us move on to the next segment, which is one of my personal favorites. It is the code of the show. These are limited, redeemable, shareable codes. Wait, shareable, but limited, redeemable. Yes, I think that's what I mean. They may be good for 20, they may be good for 500. It might have a single XMP in there, or it might have a whole bunch of viruses. We have no idea. This week, it is. There it is. Voila! Like magic, every week it appears over my shoulder. It's crazy how that works. I can't even see it.
All right, it's cut off for me. Wait a second. I was gonna. Oh no, there we go.
Hey, Daphne, you have to have your cell phone turned up.
It's muted.
All right, we'll leave it up there for a second more. Let's see, what other goodies do we have?
Yeah, someone posting all those hangouts with the codes and stuff, and then I can just copy and paste.
Someone will do that. So.
Yeah, I need equipment.
Right. I think that's good. All right. So.
Who's that?
Who's your little friend?
This is my little buddy. Tinkle, 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 tinkle. Oh, there we go. So. Anyway, the magic of the green screen. We have something else I want to announce before we go on. Let me get it queued up here.
Yay!
We've got, where did it go? Share my screen. We've got these. So last week we did some giveaways, and we're gonna do more. But we now have Ingress behind the scanner bio cards. So we're gonna throw these in the mix. And if you're at an event where we are at, hit us up. We'll give you one of these. There's gonna be a set of them. So this will be the first one. We are gonna get one for each of our hosts. So there'll be 4, and they might be limited. So get them while they're hot. For those of you that have asked for one, maybe we'll do a random drawing. But if you share our post, I think from now on, we will do a random drawing of everybody every week that shares our posts and send one to you. So there you go.
My God, we have to, for our first anniversary, we have to have the BTS anomaly.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Scared of that.
Wait, would Mexico City be the primary, or would DC be
Oh,
the primary?
if you're gonna put it that way.
Both. Why not?
All right, and last but not least, unfortunately, the gentleman that won the issue #2 comic last week never claimed it, and we gave him multiple chances. So it goes to the runner-up, who actually, ironically, was the guest last week, Hugo. So Hugo, if you're watching, please send me your contact information, your mailing information. If you're not, I'll reach out to you. So with that, let's move on to our next guest. So.
Well, and our next guest comes from closer to home of all of us. His hometown was just named as a location for one of the common anomalies that so many are gambling to travel to. Please welcome Daniel Royers, Agent Devon Lightwood from Las Vegas. Hello.
Woohoo! Welcome to the show. All right.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for having me.
Your agent name is Devon Lightfoot, but not Gordon Lightfoot. And before I get to ask you about how you got your name, there's actually something you have in common with Gordon Lightfoot. Would you care to share with our viewers this evening?
Well, I'm not sure it's on the same level. I don't think I could make any money off of it, but in the past I have been a member of several choral groups starting in high school. Yeah, I have been known to carry a tune in a bucket occasionally.
Nice. All right. So then, how did you get your agent name?
Well, like any good hardcore geek, it started with Dungeons and Dragons. Not whatever ridiculous edition they're up to now. Not even Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. No, it was just Dungeons and Dragons. And my very first character's name was Lightfoot. And from then on, pretty much every game I've ever played where I had an option to make my own name, it's been some variant of Lightfoot. And just the most recent one is Devin.
So, if I could read your mind, see what I did there? Yeah, you got it. I would know that I would know that you also participate in historical recreations. So, I guess I'm curious, how does one begin? How do you get your foot in the door in doing historical recreations, and what have you participated in?
Well, actually, how it started for me was my mother owns a fabric store, and one day a college student that was participating in one of the groups came into her shop looking for fabric to make new clothing for one of his events. And my mother was curious, why this teenage male, early 20s, late teens male was in a fabric store, buying linens and cottons and what the heck he was going to do with them. And he explained to her what it was that he did, and she thought it was really a cool idea. So at 12, I think it was, I was 12 years old, my mother and I packed ourselves up and started going to these events.
That is pretty cool. It's like every child dream to participate in some recreations and wear old-fashioned outfits and everything. And well, if it's a Star Wars recreation, it will be so much cooler. But well, which is your weapon of choice for a duel? Because I know you are trained on medieval combat.
Yeah, actually, the group that I participated with most it's called the SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronism, and one of the main activities that they do with the SCA is heavy weapons combat, medieval weapons combat. And personally, it depends on the situation. If it's going to be a one-on-one fight, then I usually prefer weapon and shield, or sword and shield, or just a single broadsword. But if it's going to be a melee where it's large groups of people on either side, then I like a polearm, something with a little bit longer reach, so I can stand back behind the shields and hit people from range.
Like a William Wallace sword, like 3 meters long?
Oh God, no. We're something much shorter, something a little bit less than just under 3 feet or so.
That's a pretty good tactic, actually. Try to hit the person from far away and protect yourself at the same time. I like that.
Absolutely.
So something I kind of mentioned just a little bit ago before we introduced you was both of us have adult ADHD. For me, it's really impacted my life. Before I got diagnosed, getting diagnosed kind of made sense, and unfortunately it's got a little bit of a negative connotation with it. I think people use it as a crutch for excuses. But how did you get diagnosed with it, and explain to people how it's affected your life?
Well, it was a very long process. As I'm sure you were aware, it was not, people thought of ADHD, ADD as something that kids got, and you grew out of it. You turned 18 and magically, poof, it went away. And and that's just the people that agree or believe in it to begin with. A lot of people just don't even want to say that it actually exists. But I had problems focusing and keeping on task. If I wasn't trying to do more than one thing at a time, I just couldn't seem to focus on anything. Focusing on one thing just never worked. And they tried various things. They tested me for various things, micro seizures when I slept, sleep apnea, everything under the sun. I had surgeries for deviated septum to open my nasal cavity, which, by the way, if anybody ever suggests that to you, unless you absolutely need it, don't. It's the most incredibly painful thing you'll ever have done to you. But I was, they tried everything. When doctors actually believed that there was a problem, they tried all kinds of random stuff. And then one day I was sitting in the doctor's office, and there was a poster up on the wall for, your child may have ADHD if they exhibit these symptoms. And I just started reading down the list, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I've been fighting with pretty much my entire life. And so when the doctor came in, I pointed to it, and I was like, that's what's going on here. And fortunately, that my family doctor was a little bit more open-minded than some that I've had, and we looked into it, and I got prescribed medication to take care of it, and it was like the world opened up. Suddenly, things just were clear, and I could pay attention to what was going on. And honestly, I was a much nicer person. I was usually incredibly cranky all the time. It was very frustrating, when you just can't seem to focus on anything, and something's going wrong, but nobody else, has any idea. And they're like, well, why don't you just do this? And it's like, I can't just do this. So it was just a wonderful experience to finally have kind of some validation, and not only the validation, but something that helped.
Yeah, I don't think people truly realize. I mean, like I said, it's kind of had a negative connotation associated with it. But for folks, it's not just about being hyperactive or restless leg or something like that. I mean, it really impacts everything from the ability to socialize, relationships, tasks. I'm sure, like me, before you were diagnosed, you had just sticky notes everywhere to try to remember and do things. You lost your keys all the time. I mean, it really impacts things on a daily basis, because the filters that allow a normal person to just sort of even listen to a conversation just don't exist for us. And the small things, unless it's something that really grabs your attention, like television or video games, you just don't pay attention. It's impossible. You hear and see everything going on around you that you can't filter out, and it's like living in an arcade. And being diagnosed with it, it's like the heavens open up, and like everything makes sense, and it's really life-changing. So anyway, actually we could go on, but I just wanted to add
we
that
could
because
go on for a while.
It is a long process to get diagnosed, unless you have some sort of family history of it. But far too often people just say, oh, that person's overactive, or I just can't focus and need help on a test or something like that. Here's some legal meth, try that, and it's just not the way that it should work. So.
No.
I appreciate you guys sharing. I've not explored that option, but I think that there are many of us who may suffer from what I call shiny object syndrome. But still, this is real, and I'm really glad that you guys have found validation that what you had been experiencing, during your life is real, and you're not alone. So I can only imagine how isolating that could be, and I'm glad that you're not alone in this. And speaking of which, sorry, having a little distraction from a special guest here. All right, but with Ingress, have you found that it's been able to control some of the symptoms of ADHD?
I wouldn't say necessarily control it, but it's one of the things that even without medication was able to focus my attention. Like Andrew was saying, some things, just like video games or a TV show in particular or something, and it's kind of random things. You don't choose either. This thing I want to focus on right here, and all of your focus goes into it. It's completely random, and you may know for absolute certain that is not what you want to be focusing on or what you need to be focusing on, but for whatever reason at that exact moment, that's what's got you. And Ingress actually was one of those things that just randomly out of the blue, that locked on for me, and I just couldn't focus on anything else without medication other than that for a while.
Well, okay, little pause. For everyone watching, remember to submit your questions for our guests by clicking on the Q&A button, and we will be answered live in just a little bit. So, Daniel, Ingress has given you some special bonuses. It is true to meet someone that now is really important in your life? Who is it?
Yes, actually. As far as all the games that I've played in my life, I think that Ingress is definitely going to come out on top, if only just for the reason that I met my girlfriend, Agent Rage Raver 2003 in Fort Collins, Colorado, through Ingress.
Excellent.
Hey now.
Yeah, it's very fortunate. I was just incredibly lucky being the point of contact for the Enlightened in Las Vegas. She was directed to me when she was coming here on vacation, and we started chatting, and when she came out to visit with her friends, I drove them around, took them to the farms and showed them the portals in the area, and we even took a day-long drive up to the gate, the entrance area to Area 51 to get some keys to that portal for them to take home. And we honestly, from that day till now, which was last May, we've spoken every day, and it just developed into a wonderful relationship.
Fantastic.
So,
But before we continue, because that's awesome, and we actually hear quite a bit. I think you need to lobby Niantic to do something special on Valentine's Day for all the people who have met through the game, because it would be really cool to hear and see all of your stories of, how far away did you live? I mean, you guys are, what is that?
14 hours.
14, okay.
Wow.
Double that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And somebody from LA, Kelly, one of our guests, is now living in Germany. I mean, it's awesome to see those connections happen, and I would love
switching
to see.
because of that.
Yeah, I would love to see all these stories sort of compiled into one place so that we can celebrate all this stuff that you guys have gone through. So that's really
That would be really cool.
Well, you know what? For any viewers or any couples that that happen to have met through Ingress, write to us, please. That might be an interesting show for next month, Andrew, don't you think? Jorge?
Sure.
Yeah. You can tell how excited. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's all organic here, live, part of the whole live.
We're sort of moving away from Daniel though and his story.
All
So
right.
that's really cool, man. I'm happy for you that the game was able to do that. That is really awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It's just a really wonderful side product of Ingress.
I don't even know how to transition from that to the next question, so I'm just going to... So, I do know. You describe yourself as a road warrior, and obviously she lives up in Colorado. How far have you driven to play Ingress? And I'm sure it's at least been 14 hours, but...
Yeah, it's not really a distance. I think of it more in time rather than how many miles that I put down. But I think probably the longest time that I was going continuously solely for the purpose of Ingress was 25 hours. Left after work.
Yay.
Left after work on a Friday. We got in the car and headed out from Las Vegas and did a giant loop. Went halfway up the state on the east side, cut straight across pretty much to the west side, and then back down to Vegas again. The culmination of our 25-hour trip was changing a flat tire on a Chrysler 200 on the side of a mountain just outside of a town called Beatty, Nevada, after an ill-advised attempt to take said touring car up the mountain to capture a portal that was anchoring something.
It was worth it, though, I assume.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, other factors prevented the entire, the op from going off, but we did our part. So, I'm pretty proud of that.
And to be fair, that is what spare tires are there for, right?
Absolutely.
True, very true. All right. So I'm curious, why do you call yourself the exiled tyrant of Las Vegas?
It's I'll try to cut it down to the Cliff Notes version. As anybody who's actually met me in person in Las Vegas knows, I can probably carry on a conversation about whatever you ask me about for much longer than necessary. But when I first started playing, there was a couple that I guess coordinated, were kind of leadership for Las Vegas Enlightened, and I had some ideological differences with them, as well as some of the other people, some of the other agents at the time. And, well, at the end of it, they decided that they weren't going to try to coordinate things anymore, and they were going to take a break from Ingress. And when it was all said and done, I was like, okay, there you go, guys. You weren't happy with the way they were doing things. They're gone now. Have fun. And they were like, well, okay, what do we do now? I said, well, don't ask me. I just, I got you. I got you your freedom of choice here. Go, have fun. But what do we do now? Okay. So, it actually came about as a joke. Some of the people referred to the previous administration as the king and queen of Las Vegas. And so I said, we got rid of the king and queen, so now you've got a tyrant. Kind of as a joke, and kind of to remind me that, a kind of leadership position in this game isn't a license to order people around or isn't any kind of power. It's a job. It's something that you do because you want to help people out, and you want to make things more fun for everybody, not because you're going to get anything that wonderful out of it for yourself. So I started referring to myself. Other people started calling me the tyrant. And recently, we've once again had a change of administration in Las Vegas, and I took the opportunity to take a vacation, ease back a little bit from my playing, take a little break, but I figured I'd just keep up with it and say that I was now in exile. Once a tyrant, always a tyrant, but now I'm in exile.
That's funny. Well, cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, and please share us this other fact that you have been participating in all the anomalies since 13 Magnus. You have been there. Which one gives you the best memories of all at this day?
It's hard to say what gives me the best memories. All of them have been a lot of fun. The most recent anomaly in Salt Lake City was particularly nice because Ray Draper and I met there halfway from Fort Collins. She came out, and I came out from Las Vegas, so we were able to play together at the Anomaly there. But I think the one that gives the strongest emotional memories is working with Shard 1. Like last week, you had Agent Black Rose on, and you talked about her experiences with
Yes, we
Shard
did.
1 awareness. Well, right before she got a hold of it, before it fell in her lap, it was in mine. Through an unfortunate situation in Texas where a link dropped on one side of the city instead of on the other, I was never supposed to see Shard 1. It was never supposed to come anywhere near me, which was fine by me. I was happy to sit in the chats and listen to how everything was going and see where it was bouncing around the country without ever having to worry about it myself. But because of this situation, it ended up dropping just up the road in the St. George area, and it was actually the Vegas resistance that took it away from us up there, and the only key that they had that they could get to fire a link off to was in Boulder City, which is just about 20 minutes south of Las Vegas proper. And so I wake up that morning to my Hangouts exploding and people screaming, Dan, quick, drive down to Boulder City, the Shard's there. And I'm like, what Shard? What are you talking about? No, it's not coming to Las Vegas. No. It's supposed to be in Montana now. No. What are you talking about? And sure enough, that was there. So I called in sick. So I don't feel so well. I can't make it in today. And drove straight down to Boulder City, screaming in Hangouts for anybody who would listen to, get down there and help me right away, because it's here. And I got there, I want to say it was like 9 o'clock, the 9 o'clock movement. Got there at like 8:30. And one other agent got there with me. Actually, our senior level 8, the senior Enlightened player in town, Agent Slipknot, really good friend, showed up and met me there, and we stayed there for, I left at 11:30 that night, I think. So I stayed there straight through from 8:30 in the morning till 11:30 at night, at which point I just had to turn it over to somebody else. Because standing on a street corner mashing buttons for that long, it actually does get tiring.
I can only imagine.
Very true.
All right, so let's get away from the Shard effects. And let's go to something new, like Shonen. Probably one of the most talked about locations is Las Vegas. So, for those who are interested in attending, we're curious, what will be your participation?
Well, actually, all I'm going to say is that I am going to participate. It's coming to Las Vegas. I'm here. There's no way I can't, not do something, even if I am taking a little vacation. But I'm not. We're going to leave it up in the air as to exactly what I'm going to be doing, just in case. I assume that more resistance agents than just just my co-guest are watching this, so we'll let it slide on this one.
All right. So I think any potential presidential candidate would be proud about reading of the question. So good job.
No, I see Jorge putting away his pen and pencil already.
I'm taking notes.
All right. Are you up for some viewer questions?
Absolutely.
All right. So similar to our last guest, how did you first hear about Ingress?
Actually, I was playing another phone-based game, silly little idle game, and one of the people in the game that I was playing was from Germany, and we'd been playing for a couple months, and the one day he just stops in chat and asks me, he says, so do you play Ingress? And I was like, I've never heard of this. What is it? Is this another, phone game? And he said, well, here, let me send you a link. And he sends me the link to the page, and and I start reading up on it, and I'm like, what is this I'm seeing? And he describes it to me, and I was like, oh my God. And like I said earlier, some things, they just click with ADHD. You're like, oh, that's it, I'm focused on that. And he explains Ingress to me. I was like, I've been waiting my entire life for this game. Where has this been all my life? Holy crap! Yes, I want to play. And he's like, okay, I'll send you an invite code, but just one thing, you have to play green. And I was like, you send me the code, I'll play, Paisley if that's what you want me to do. I just want to play this game. So he sent me the code, and I signed up, and because he asked, I picked green. And Marcel, you said you were going to watch tonight, so that one's for you.
And forgive me if you mentioned it, how long ago was that? When did you start playing?
Let me see. That was April of 2013, I think. I haven't looked recently. I don't really think about how long it's been, just what I've done in the meantime.
That is actually one of the nice things they don't keep track of, where other MMOs, you could do /time or something and show you how long you've played. So
yeah.
At any rate, so this next question, I think you've already answered the most dangerous portal part of it. So let me amend the question to be, there's a second part. What is the funniest portal you've been to or tried to go to?
Oh, funny. Well, I think, to me, I think to people that live here in Las Vegas, it's kind of, it's just something we're used to seeing, because everybody's probably run by it at least once. But for people that don't live in Las Vegas, they might be amused by the Erotic History Museum portal that we have here in Las Vegas.
You know how many times I've been there and not hacked that portal? I'm pretty honest. You know what? That's going on my bucket list, my Ingress bucket
All right.
list. Yeah,
Absolutely. Next time you're in town, come pick me up.
Portal.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being very... It's BTS After Dark. Sorry. Never mind. It's
she was
after
commenting on the portal that it was next to.
Ah.
Yes. Which I may have several keys for that place. All right, moving on.
Still taking notes.
Let's. This last, I guess we have two more, so we'll go fast. Have you ever coordinated your wardrobe and worn blue on purpose to an Ingress event?
Well, actually, if Marcel hadn't told me that I had to choose green when I signed up, I probably would have chosen blue, because blue is actually my favorite color. Has been my entire life. I have a blue car. At the time I had a blue phone case. Most of my wardrobe is a shade of blue. The laptop I'm on right now is blue. It's just my favorite color, and so whenever I show up, I get asked frequently when I meet a new agent, they see me in a blue shirt, and they're like, "What are you doing wearing blue shirt? You should go change. You're enlightened. Wear green." And my answer to that is always, it's camouflage. It's camouflage, so they don't see me coming.
Good answer. Good answer.
That's a good one, because most of mine is either black or blue.
All right. So the last question is, if you were down to your last $10 and you were in a casino, you bet it all on red or black?
Black.
Blue.
I don't think blue is a proper roulette. You can go green though with a double zero. But
I know.
That's true. That's true. No, we'll go with black.
All right, fair enough.
Just for the record, anybody who doesn't know, roulette has the worst odds of any table game in Las Vegas. So unless you just absolutely have to play that for some reason, go with something else. You're just throwing your money away at roulette.
Yeah, but you see all the numbers that came before it, so you can identify trends and all that, right? Because the table has a memory.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
That's a whole. We won't go there. All right, I think
no,
that's
play craps.
That's illegal, Andrew. That's illegal.
That's all we have for the viewer questions. So.
I fully support coming to Las Vegas, spending your money. It keeps our city in the middle of the desert going, so please just gamble all you like.
Well, Daniel, this is the time where you have 60 seconds to talk about anything you want, anything. So, whenever you want.
Well, I promised a shout out to my kids. I have 5 kids, so let me get them all. First, Agent Hot Drop Nate, my co-pilot for most of my insanity. Then my sons, Agent Vlad the Great 8, Elric Lightfoot, and Ballistic Frog. And then my daughter, Agent Frog Monster. Give a shout out to her. Obviously to my lovely girlfriend, Rage Raver. To Marcel, I already mentioned him, but I wanted to make sure that once again he commented earlier on the announcement that what did he create? Well, you can't blame yourself for what I am, but you can blame yourself for exposing Ingress to me. So you can apologize to everybody else for that. Agent Rob 334 for all the opportunities that he allowed me with ops. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. To all the enlightened Vegas agents that have made things fun, thank you very much. And to all the resistance agents that I've made friends with over my time playing, thank you for being there. We couldn't do this without you, and vice versa, I'm sure.
Well, Daniel, we are so glad to have you here in the show tonight. Very, very, very thankful for you accepting to be our guest tonight.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for coming.
definitely great having you.
Thank you.
All right, so shameless plug time. For those of you who are still watching and in the DC metropolitan area, I just want to let you know that Andrew and I, along with Resistance guest from a few weeks ago, Jeffrey Sanders, Agent Power Up, will be part of a panel at MagFest, the Music and Gaming Festival that's at National Harbor, Maryland. We'll be speaking on Sunday at 10 a.m. And if you're around, come around and see us.
Yeah, it should be fun. It'll be an interactive panel. We'll do a little interview with Jeff, and then interview the audience as well. And then you can ask questions
Could be
of us.
you.
So from 10 a.m. until noon, so we have 2 hours. You can listen to me drabble on about things. So if you're not going to be able to attend the MagFest conference, there's also a cross-faction meetup if you happen to be watching from the DC metro area or you want to come in for it. It'll be tomorrow, Friday night at, I believe, although the invite said 7 p.m., technically it's going to be 6 p.m. till 9 in Arlington at Ireland's Four Courts, which is just in the courthouse area. Ireland's Four Courts in the courthouse area. So thank you everybody for watching. Join us next week and happy hacking.
And well, maybe they're going to sign some cards or something like that. My dear.
Cards. I may bring the cards with us. Yes.
Oh, God, that means I have to get them. All right. Yes, fine. Well, good night, everyone. Good to see you as always, and hope to see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
It's not playing.
So, Daniel, you've got to know, where is the place to go for real winning? The locals know.
Oh, as far as that goes, any of your station casinos are your local casinos. Things not on the strip, anything out and about. I like Red Rock Casino, that's a nice upper scale one. A real nice one is Silverton. It's on 15 South, just outside. I mean, it's still kind of the city proper, but I get on 15 South. There's also the M Resort and Casino. That one, yeah, sometimes it pays out pretty well, but the Silverton,